The views expressed on the Warren and Bradley Show are not necessarily those held by the hosts, Warren and Bradley, nor those of the proprietors of the website, warrenandbradley.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Let's make some magic.
Hello, it is magic time. Welcome once again to the Warren and Bradley Show. I am one of your hosts, Bradley Victor.
I'm the other host, Warren Van.
We have an excellent show for you all today. Several features that I'm sure you've been looking forward to. No, That's How Women Are this week. We're going to give that a break for this episode, but we do have a Street Freak of the Week. One of which is listener, what would be the word?
Submitted?
Yeah, listener submitted Street Freak of the Week. Some interesting topics to discuss, some Celebrity Minute to go for, so let's get the show on the road, Warren.
Let's do it.
What's going on?
What's going on with you?
Not much, really.
Okay.
What have you been up to today?
Not much. I've been doing a little reading, watched a little soccer on the computer. It's very warm out right now.
It's oddly warm.
Yeah.
It's over 60 degrees for the first time, I think, in, 6 or 7 months?
I was shocked when I was leaving the house. I was wondering how many layers of clothing I should wear, and I actually looked at the temperature, and I was like, oh my God.
We mentioned this, I think, last week or the week before, when it gets just even slightly sunny here, people freak out and start wearing halter tops and things. And today I noticed people walking around like it was so oppressively hot.
I feel like it's oppressively hot. It's 63 degrees out there, and I was just barely getting over here. It was so hot.
It is hilarious.
It's overwhelming.
If I were still in LA, people would be wearing sweaters and earmuffs and things. Yeah, it's kind of humid though.
I think it is a little humid, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's a little muggy. I'm kind of sweating right now. I don't know.
Oh, so we went out last night briefly.
Yes.
I'm kind of tired of it.
Tired of going out?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Nothing ever happens.
No.
Things used to happen. Remember when things happened?
Occasionally things would happen, yeah.
When was the last time anything happened?
I don't know.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
You went home pretty early, and then I stuck around for a little bit longer, waiting for something to happen. Looked like a few things were going to happen, but then they didn't. And so I was disappointed.
What sort of things are going to happen?
I don't know. It looked like maybe there was potentially awkward conversations that were going to happen between a friend of ours and someone that they didn't want to talk to. And I was like, come on, waiting for it to happen. But then it never did. There was an almost fight that I witnessed, but it just didn't turn into an actual fight.
No.
There was some police action that wasn't really that interesting. I don't know. There was just nothing very exciting. Oh, and there was a real drunk girl who looked like she was about to slap another girl. Like they were going to get into it, but that never happened. It was just, it was a night of missed opportunities.
Lack of violence for you.
Well, it's not even just the violence, but just some sort of drama to make me feel alive.
Well, I had a gin and tonic,
yes.
Which is something I don't usually order. I decided to order something different.
I'm not a fan of those.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like having a shorter glass in my hand for some reason. I don't know why. I just felt like that was the move I needed to do that night.
Well, your normal drink is the shot of Wells vodka and a Bud Light.
Yes.
Or
Coors Light now.
Or Coors Light.
I moved on to Coors Light because the bottle is better looking.
Okay.
It's a better looking bottle. The design... The Bud Light bottle is ugly.
It is ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though they did have that brief time there where they had the little blank area where you could write things on the bottle. Remember that?
No. I've never had a Bud Light.
Write something on your Bud Light bottle so you could write your name on it or something silly on it. There's a whole ad campaign about it.
Are you then supposed to throw the bottle in the ocean and wait for it to wash up somewhere?
I'm looking for love.
I don't know.
Writing something on the back on your Bud Light bottle.
No.
You ever done that? You ever thrown a bottle in the ocean?
I tried to once as a kid, and it would not go out.
Yeah.
I threw it as far as I could, and it just kept washing back up on the shore. It
was always very intriguing as a child to think about that, finding a note from Japan or something.
Someone just recently around here found one from Japan. I heard some news story about it.
Really? Was it written in Japanese?
It was, and they could not read it.
That's annoying.
I remember hearing the story once about this entire shipment of rubber ducks that had capsized and sunk in the middle of the ocean.
Tragic.
And they were tracking this flotilla of rubber duckies for years and years. They were going around all these different ocean currents, and they're trying to figure out where they were going to land eventually. And then they finally landed somewhere in England, and it was this big event. People were like, hey, and like going and picking up these like gray, horribly deformed rubber ducks that had been floating in the ocean for years.
Fun.
It's kind of cool, yeah.
Isn't there some giant like garbage patch in the Pacific Ocean somewhere? Have you heard about this?
Everyone says this, but then I was trying to look for evidence of it, and I couldn't find it. I'm sure there is, probably.
Yeah, it's
but
just like a bunch of garbage just collected after a while, and there's this big patch just like floating around out there.
It almost seems like one of those apocryphal tales that people tell that just sounds reasonable.
Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff, though, right?
The thing is with the garbage, the ocean kind of likes the garbage. As long as it's not like, you know, rings from six-packs that little otters are going to get their faces stuck in, or bottlenose dolphins.
What do you mean the ocean likes the garbage?
Well, if you throw something in the ocean, it floats around, fish flock to it. It creates a little ecosystem.
Yes.
It's true. They love the
I know if you
shelter.
like wreck a ship on the coast and it turns into a reef or something like that. To an extent, this is all true.
Well, I was even watching, just recently, I was watching The Blue Planet again, and they had the episode on the open ocean, which is kind of a desert in a way, because it's so far from the shore and it's so deep that there's not a lot of upswell of nutrients, and there's not a whole hell of a lot of life. I mean, life kind of passes through, but they were showing how any little bit of flotsam that was floating around would have an entire ecosystem of creatures living around the flotsam.
Really?
Yeah.
So
I think, listeners, if you want to help, go out in a boat.
Yeah, throw some garbage
just start
out there.
chucking shit in the water.
Well, it makes me think of our local Indian reservation, where a lot of people like to go out and throw things into the river estuary out there over that bridge. So there's a bunch of like old washing machines,
mattresses and appliances and things like that. I don't think it's the same in a riverbed, though. It doesn't quite have the same effect.
No, it's not a very pleasing effect on the eye out there.
I remember as a child riding my bike through the Indian reservation and being chased by a pack of rabid dogs.
Yeah.
Pretty much the entire time.
That'll happen. There are a lot of like kind of like mangy dogs running around out there.
I saw one the other day I took a picture of, and I was going to mention it on the podcast because it kept trying to eat my JoJo potatoes that I was eating. It would like shove its face in my window while I was eating.
Wait, you were driving and it was like following you?
I was near the Indian reservation eating JoJo's.
Oh, you're just sitting in your truck eating JoJo's, and it was trying to like get in there and get the JoJo's.
Something I like to do. It clears my head.
Oh.
And there was a dog that was like shoving his head through, and I was like, and he was really aggressive about it.
Oh, well, they're feral at that
pretty
point.
much.
They're like they're getting the food wherever they can. Everyone's feeding them.
He was kind of cute. Guess what? It's time for Street Freak of the Week. Bam.
They wander the streets, scavenging for loose change and discarded cigarette butts.
Spare $1.
And give me a motherfucking cigarette.
Ran out of gas ways back.
You smoke weed, don't you?
Good, my car.
I could use some change.
They may be mentally unstable and deserving of our charity, but that doesn't mean they can't be selected as the Warren and Bradley Show Street Freak of the Week.
As I had requested several weeks back for listener feedback for Street Freaks of the Week, I don't know if we mentioned this before, but I did want to make clear that we don't want anyone to go out and harass homeless people or do something cruel and evil to a homeless person because they think that would be an amusing anecdote. And we don't want any stories involving horrible abuse or drug overdose or anything that will make us sad and potentially cause Warren to cry.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to see Warren cry. These are just amusing anecdotes from those jolly homeless people who occasionally interact with us in our daily lives. So, as I said, my little brother, Zachary Victor, who is a devout listener to the show, lives in Seattle, and he goes to the University of Washington. Maybe
Heard
I should.
of it? Yeah.
Yeah. I won't give his exact address, but he lives.
Why would you do that?
People can hunt him down. He lives in the U District, and he says that apparently there is an American Apparel outlet in the U District where lots of homeless people like to gather.
I believe I've walked by that American Apparel before.
And they sleep there in the doorway, and they just hang out. I guess they like, chinos and Made in America t-shirts that are slim fitting. Yeah. And there's one guy in particular who, I'm going to try to rephrase this in sort of his words, but also my words as well. This grizzled little homeless dude with a little gray beard, little bald head. He does the tramp face, which I can't show to the audience, but he does the kind of mouthing all the time, like smacking his lips, and he's like, this little wizened homeless dude. And my little brother sees him pretty much every day as he walks by to campus. And apparently one day, he saw him crouched over. There was nobody else around, and he seemed very furtive, like he was doing something, crouched down on the ground. And as my brother approached, he saw that he was picking up used condoms off the sidewalk and very carefully and securely placing them in a little, like, sandwich bag. He'd pick one up and go... and put it in his little bag, and he'd fold it over, and then he'd go and find another one and put that in his bag. And then my little brother walked up behind him and surprised him, and he went, "Oh!" and turned around and gave my brother a strange smirk, and then sort of chuckled, and then dropped the bag and scurried away.
That's pretty weird.
That's fucking weird.
Again, it gets back to something we talked about weeks ago, which is why are there so many fucking condoms all over the place?
Well, this is the first question I had for my little brother, is like, is this place always strewn with used condoms? And he said, yes, it is.
The streets are just covered in condoms.
Well, apparently there's this one area that always has at least 5 or 6 condoms.
No, I completely know that this is true because I see street corners like this all the time.
Yeah.
So it's just, that's
we'll
crazy
never get
enough.
to the bottom of this. But putting that aside, what the fuck was the homeless man going to do with those used condoms?
I'm gonna say he's crazy.
Well, yeah. I think we can take that as read.
But I mean, the question is, what do you think was going on in his mind? Was he like thinking some dirty thoughts about?
Well,
sex
I was
when he was doing
asking, did he think perhaps he was doing a good deed, like cleaning up the city? And
this? It is a good deed.
My little brother did not seem to think that was the case, because it seemed like he was secreting them away for future use. And I don't know if he was going to use them himself. Like he can't afford condoms, probably. But you can get condoms. You can go anywhere, and people will like go to any health clinic or something and ask for condoms.
What sort of person uses used condoms they find on the street?
I don't know.
The kind of person who doesn't use condoms at all. I'll tell you that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would assume that
those people don't cross.
People
that there's like a section of people in this world who are worried about like sexually transmitted diseases and impregnating people. They use condoms.
Right.
There are crazy people who pick up soiled condoms in the U District and pick them in a little bag. Those two groups of people, they're never crossed.
No.
They're never the same person ever.
He'll probably see him in a week or so with a bunch of balloons for sale.
Oh, God, the children.
That have some sort of residue inside them. We can only imagine.
Get the evening news on that story.
I got AIDS from this balloon.
Oh, God. That's a street freak, right?
So that was a good street freak of the week. I have one myself, actually.
Oh, good.
Even though I'd put out this SOS for street freak of the week, and I hadn't had any for a while, I actually did encounter one. I guess we had one last week, too, with the one that might have been fake.
Yeah.
But this one definitely was not fake. It was very odd and almost turned dark, but luckily it had a happy ending.
Oh, good.
So I was driving along in my truck on a major thoroughfare in the city of Bellingham. Warren, you will know, and some of our listeners will know, it was the corner of Lakeway and Ellis.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a major, busy intersection. Middle of the day. And there's a gas station on the corner, and near the gas station, there's kind of a hedge that goes around the corner.
Yes.
And as I got up to the intersection, I was actually going to go towards my house, which was in the opposite direction. But as I glanced over to the corner and to the hedge, I saw a pair of legs sticking out of the hedge.
Uh-oh.
That were not moving. And there were people walking by on the sidewalk, cars driving everywhere. Nobody seemed to notice the legs sticking out of the hedge. And so I thought, I could go home, or this is a perfect opportunity to experience something interesting.
You weren't worried about the health or the safety
Well,
of
I
this
also
person
did
with legs.
kind of want to see if the person was dead.
Yeah.
So I I decided to turn instead. I went into the gas station, parked near the sad remains of the telephone booth.
Yes.
This all just kind of disappeared, haven't they?
Yeah, they're getting ripped down every day.
Parked the truck, got out, walked over to the hedge, and said, "Excuse me." There's no movement, no response. "Hello? Do you need any help there?" No movement, no response. Couldn't see. I could only see pretty much the waist down and like part of a distended belly kind of protruding from a stained T-shirt. So I finally thought, well, I'll give him a little prod.
Might as well.
So I took the toe of my boot and prodded his leg a little bit. Said, "Hello?" No movement whatsoever. So I did a little harder. I kind of clubbed
You're
him.
kicking a homeless person.
Well, I'm trying to see if he's alive. And kicked him kind of in the sole of his shoe pretty hard. And there was a from out of the bush. And it was hilarious because it was kind of like the Moses and the burning bush thing, except the bush wasn't burning. It was just shaking whenever the homeless person would say anything.
It's exactly the same.
It was kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Getting wisdom from the bush. And he's like, I was like, okay, so he's alive, obviously. It's like, do you need any help? You need any help there? Bush shaking. Are you okay? trying to ask again.
Get the fuck out of here. I'm trying to sleep.
Oh, well, there you go.
Okay, well, there's a perfectly good explanation for why he's laying in the bush. He seemed beyond the point of passed out drunk and to the point of maybe like alcohol poisoning, and he could go into cardiac arrest or something at any moment.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe I should call the police and report that there's a homeless person in the bush. But then he got to the point where he was so agitated that I was bothering him that he said that he was going to fuck me.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna fuck you. Get the fuck out of here.
And then he started undoing his pants.
Whoa, my goodness.
So I went, oh! And I like backed away. And by this point, one of the employees had seen me discussing something with somebody laying in a bush, and they were starting to come out of the place, out of the convenience store. So I alerted them to the fact that there was a homeless man who was trying to expose himself in the bush, and they said that they would call the police. I don't know if they ever did.
Well, that's a nice story.
So there we go. We have 2 pretty good Street Freaks of the Week. Now, Warren, you have to pick a winner.
Finishing with the fucking part was pretty good, but I'm going to have to go with the guy picking up the condoms.
I think that's more like inexplicable and kind of disturbing and scary.
And I'm glad that Zach sent that in. It's good to have some listener participation.
And if any other listeners have any good stories, send them into podcast@warrenandbradley.com. So there you go. Congratulations, Mr. Condom Man. You are this week's Street Freak of the Week.
Our hats are off to you, Mr. Homeless Man, because you've been selected as the Warren and Bradley Show Street Freak of the Week.
Well, speaking of people who like threaten to fuck you and are dirty and gross, you notice how when he did that, you like backed off and ran away instantly.
Oh, yeah.
It gets back to the thing where, like, if you're ever in a rough neighborhood or in a dangerous area, the one thing you don't do is act tough. You don't act scared. What you do is act crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then nobody wants to touch a crazy person.
No, because it's like they think it's contagious.
Who knows what's going on with you? You might have any number of diseases. So people just back off and will just give you lots of room to move and will not bother you.
You're pretty much guaranteed if any of our listeners see me out on the street and you want to do something to antagonize me or just cause me to leave, taking your genitals out will pretty much guarantee that I will go away immediately.
This is true. And if you're in a rough area and someone's trying to like come after you and attack you and you can't like defend yourself,
just take your cock out,
take your
genital
out and like wag
it
at them, and people will back off.
Do the helicopter.
People will like get away from you and be like, whoa, 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 and you can just go on your merry way. It's the best move ever.
This is good advice.
Yeah, it's.
I wonder if they teach this in self-defense classes. I don't think this would work for a woman. Like they have those classes to defend women against attackers, people who might want to try to sexually assault them.
No, because I think that people that sexually assault people like to.
If you take your genitals, I mean they can't take them out, but if they expose their genitals, that's probably just going to be more of an enticement. So this only works for men. And it would help if you're kind of disheveled, if it looks like your genitals might have an unpleasant odor or some sort of disease. I noticed when I lived in LA and I was in a dangerous neighborhood, I did not take my genitals out. And actually, I guess my methods didn't always work because I did get stabbed and shot at one point. But the best thing that I always found was to walk with confidence, look as though you knew where you were going, that you're not lost. Don't look too much left to right. Don't make eye contact with people, but don't avoid eye contact at the same time. Just be confident.
Be confident and cool.
People wouldn't fuck with you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true enough.
Until they tried to stab you.
I was in San Francisco last weekend.
Yeah.
And I was out for a walk.
There are some pretty shady parts of San Francisco.
Well, it's not even like they're not really that dangerous areas in San Francisco, but there are areas with an intense gathering of homeless people.
Yeah.
And
lots of heroin and things.
I was walking around early one morning, just going for a little walk to get some coffee, and down the street, and someone was coming at me, going, yelling, screaming. And I was like, ooh. The first thing in my mind was, maybe this will be podcast material. Yeah. So he came up to me. I was like, oh, sort of like, I probably looked kind of inviting, like, what are you going to say to me? And then he passed me, and I got kind of disappointed. Yeah. And then I could hear him like, behind me, and then he was followed me for a while. So I was like, well, this is going to go good. This is great. This is great. This is going to happen. Then eventually he like left, and I was like, damn you, man. That was my big chance.
See what this podcast has done, though? It's caused you to hope for strange and uncomfortable interactions with homeless people. It's time for Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
We're going to start right off with some bad news. Heidi Klum has just filed for divorce from pop star Seal.
Yeah.
Did you even know they were married?
Yeah. I knew they were married and I knew they split up already.
Okay.
This is all news to you completely?
I think I vague.
They have kids and stuff. They've been married for
somewhere
years.
in my mind.
Yeah.
I didn't know Seal still had a career or anything, though. The
don't
last
think he
thing I
does.
remember is the... Oh, we're never gonna survive
Unless we get a little crazy. That was more than 20 years ago.
Was it? That was a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I was a child. If
I was a
remember.
child. Yeah, we were both children at that time. So, maybe.
There was always the rumors about his scars, like were they horrible acne scarring?
Oh, did he
or
claim that he had just like woken up in the night after a bad dream and then he had all these like
There was
scars?
something about some vision or something. Apparently it was caused by a form of lupus.
Oh.
I have it here. Right? It's a type of lupus called discoid lupus erythematosus, a condition that specifically affects the skin above the neck.
Huh.
So there you go. What else have we got here, Warren?
Oh, Amanda Bynes released on bail.
Oh, my lord. Actress Amanda Bynes has been released on $5,000 bail following her arrest for driving under the influence. She was busted on Friday after clipping the back of a police patrol car while driving through West Hollywood 3 days after celebrating her 26th birthday. We've got the mugshot here. Not looking too good there.
No.
Giant, like, she has weird kind of grayish pink hair, lots of eye makeup, and a very obvious fake tan.
So, child actor starts drunk driving, hitting police cars.
I've never heard a story like that ever.
No, it's really shocking, isn't it?
That's the best way to ever get pulled over for drunk driving is to actually run into a police car. Usually, my thinking is that maybe she knew she was drunk, she was driving around, she sees the cop, and then she panics, maybe.
Yeah, that could probably happen.
But it's kind of hard to claim that you're not impaired when you've actually hit another car, and
Maybe
that
this
car
will
is
be.
a cop.
Maybe this will revive her career.
We have another story about legal troubles here. Clint Eastwood is suing Evo Furniture and the InMod.com website for allegedly infringing on his rights by marketing a range of ottomans, chairs, and entertainment centers named after him. Apparently, he's issued a cease and desist order. They're profiting over his likeness and name. He also cites marketing slogans which reference his biggest films, including, "When you're invited into a person's home, you get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly."
This seems pretty clear cut. You can't use someone's likeness, their name, and like things from their movies and not pay them
What I
any
wonder
royalties.
is, like, why is Clint Eastwood... Is furniture tough in some way? Like, what cachet does he bring to the art of, like, home...
I know exactly what he brings.
What?
Males.
Males who don't
That's
like
what they're
furniture.
thinking from marketing.
Like, oh, well, if Clint Eastwood likes this ottoman, then I'm gonna
Yeah,
get it.
if it's like it's associated with like toughness or associated with Clint Eastwood, you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'll get that.
It's a hell of a thing, decorating a living space.
Well, are there like male furniture stores?
I don't know.
No, there aren't.
No, men don't really give a shit. I mean,
they don't.
I kind of do. If I had money, I would buy furniture I like.
Really,
but
I just like simple things. I like the things from IKEA.
I like
That works for me.
one of the other slogans here. When visitors come to your home, the Clint 47-inch entertainment center makes your family room alone look like you live in a perfect world of $1 million baby. That doesn't
Are you
even
kidding
make
me?
sense.
Are you? Why would they do that? $1 million baby isn't really like even going for the cool Clint Eastwood. That's going
No.
for like the Hillary Swank Clint
The
Eastwood.
perfect world was with Kevin Costner as a criminal who had some little kid running around with him. But to shoehorn those two references in together, and they don't make any sense together, I don't know. I think that
He's gonna win.
good old Evo Furniture has more problems.
Good for him for still being alive, by the way.
He doesn't look very alive in this picture.
No, but he's pretty old.
He almost looks kind of like a mummy. What have we got here? Warren?
Speaking of people that like lived a lot longer than I ever thought they would,
Than they should have.
and people who like when we were listening to Seal, CBS journalist Mike Wallace was in his 70s,
Yeah.
and now he's finally dead in 2012.
At the age of 93.
Yeah, it's amazing.
He was still hosting at, I think, 6 years ago. So he was 87 when he was still on the air.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
that's very old to be working still.
Some longevity. He was apparently still all there, even up until the end.
Good for him.
We have another story about a vacuous celebrity here. Jason Trawick, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, is petitioning the court to share legal control over Britney Spears. Which, to me, that headline is hilarious. This is the man that Britney Spears is going to be marrying. He's a 40-year-old, formerly her manager. I guess he still is sort of her manager, but he has filed papers to petition to be added by a California court as one of the singer's conservators. If the petition is approved, Trawick, who began dating Spears in 2009, will have control over her well-being, while her father, Jamie, will retain full control over her finances.
So Britney Spears is like a ward of the court?
Apparently. She's not able to take care of herself, apparently.
This is another child celebrity.
Yeah, it's very strange to me. Her father has had legal control over her millions since 2008, so she has no control over her own finances, and apparently she has no control over her own body, herself, her mind.
I guess they're different things. I guess
Have you ever heard of an adult with a conservator who wasn't like developmentally disabled or in some way incapacitated?
It reminds me of the girl with the dragon tattoo. Remember?
Oh yeah, but that was because that was just the weird way that the legal system worked there, where they had their parole officers were kind of like guardians or something.
It's that sort of, it's a system like that. It's very strange. I don't know what goes on in your childhood. You must just be learning all the time. And if you have a normal childhood, you learn normal things. If you do not have a normal childhood, you miss out and you can never get it back.
Well, and I think what happens too with these people is how old was she? Like 16 or something when she first hit it big. But she was already like in Disney Channel things before that. But basically her whole life, people have taken care of her. And she has never learned to take care of herself. She has to have somebody telling her where to be, when to go, what to wear, what to do, how to look. Everything in her life is completely controlled by other people, and she just doesn't know how to do it any other way.
Oh, it's just terrible.
So now she's marrying somebody who is legally in control of her. I don't know how that works.
What's your deal too, you fucking creep?
I think we should go to Florida for our vacation. I'm like, I don't want to. Well...
Just look at that
According
guy.
to the state of California, it's just very odd.
What a
he does look like a
leech.
schmuck.
Get a life.
Yeah, it kind of makes me sad.
It's just pathetic.
I'll get over it. We have one lighthearted story. Mark Ruffalo, quote, "I am not well endowed." Apparently Mark Ruffalo's experience shooting the Avengers was not like that of his castmates, because while they got to wear fancy costumes, he had to run around in a mocap suit, so it was like some little unitard that apparently was very revealing and didn't leave much to the imagination. But according to Ruffalo, he doesn't have much anyway.
Oh, no.
Which is a very weird thing for a Hollywood celebrity to admit, that they have a small penis. I think that's actually a good idea, though, because actually, the other night I was at this after party, all these drunken people, and this girl who I didn't know came up to me and said,
I hear you've got a big dick.
and I went,
Not true.
all right then. And I said, no. And I did say, I was like, actually, no, I don't. It's tiny. And she went, ah, ha, ha, ha. And I went, no, seriously, it's very small. And then I walked away, because it's much better if people are, I don't even know if she really did know who I was or if she was just being ridiculous. But if people are going to be spreading rumors about your genitalia, it's better to have them
definitely
have low expectations. Because then if you ever encounter somebody who's like, well, I heard he has a giant piece of action between his legs, and then you come and it's just like, okay, they're going to be disappointed. Whereas if they hear that it's tiny, they'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yes, I tend to agree with this. Yeah.
So maybe Mark was playing that same angle.
That you definitely want to like surprise people.
Yeah.
In a positive way.
In a positive way, not in a negative way.
Yeah, exactly.
Because one person's big could be another person's small. It just depends on who they've been with, what they're used to. Our last story for Celebrity Minute, we're going kind of long. We always go long on Celebrity Minute. I thought this was an interesting story because it's something you don't hear every day. Rapper G. Depp was aiming towards a comeback, but it's been slightly derailed by the fact that he is just out of the blue confessed to a murder that was over 20 years old and was completely unsolved by the police department. They had no leads whatsoever. And I guess he's claiming that he just wanted to unburden himself because he was feeling horribly guilty. And he went into a police station, admitted to the crime, gave details about the crime. They matched it up to an unsolved case, and now he's being tried for murder.
This seems like a desperate attempt to like get his career going.
Well, I was reading a little bit of his bio here. Apparently he hit it sort of big in the 90s with Sean Diddy Combs' stable of talent at Bad Boy Records. In the late 90s, he had his debut album, Child of the Ghetto, which came out in 2001. He scored a rap chart hit with Special Delivery. After that, though, he devolved into taking lots of PCP, which
Yeah,
is not
that'll
good for
happen.
your career. And he's been struggling to try to gain a footing back in the rap world. And I guess some people are saying that they think the confession was a result of his crazy PCP use and him trying to, I don't know, maybe it's one of those 12 steps, admitting that you've wronged people or something. I shot you.
It is, but don't do it to the police.
Yeah, it seems kind of odd.
But the thing is, the way now we're talking about him. We had never heard of this person
No,
before.
no.
He's looking to come back. Now people know who he is.
If he doesn't serve like 15 years in prison for this.
Yeah, I think he'll get off later than that.
But
And even being in prison for a while is good for your rap career.
Well, yeah, that definitely is. There aren't very many careers where that is a like resume enhancement, but a rap star is one of them.
Maybe a mobster.
Maybe.
If you didn't talk.
If you didn't talk, if you didn't turn
If you didn't
stupid,
talk and you
yeah.
did like 10 years, just didn't say anything and
That
came
means you're a
out, people are
stand-up
like,
guy.
ooh, that guy's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen The Sopranos. Apparently, he said that he hoped it would bring closure to the family, but the family's representatives are saying that it's just dredged up a bunch of crap from the past that they had
Yeah.
put behind them, and they wished he hadn't said anything about
That's
it.
unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, G-Dep, I guess good to you for being honest, but it's kind of like when they say if you're in a relationship and somebody cheats on somebody else,
Yeah.
it's better not to even say anything, because usually the only reason people are admitting something is for themselves. It's for them not to feel guilty anymore.
Yeah.
But if it's not constructive to the relationship, if it's not going to help things other than just making you feel better, then you just shouldn't say anything.
That's probably true. Like,
I
I
think
mean, if you
G-Dep should have taken that advice.
if like this cheating person like was like, "Oops, I made this one mistake," and they're not going to do it anymore.
Didn't mean anything. I still love the person. I still want to be with the
You're
person.
going to really hurt the other person, and you're going to like destroy the relationship probably. But you will like feel better because you've told the truth or whatever
Yeah.
about it. It's probably better off.
I've had people tell me the truth before, and I wish they hadn't. So I know what that's like.
That's sad. There's
There
a
you
sad
go.
end to Celebrity
Yeah,
Minute.
well, we can't always end on an up. And that was Celebrity Minute.
This has been Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
We have an update on everyone's favorite band, Groupus McKay and the Rabble Rousers, Scottsdale, Arizona's own. They've been taking a little easy lately.
Yeah.
Groupus was having hip replacement surgery, and they were not able to perform for a while. But now they are back at it, and Groupus wanted us to let everyone know that they have a show Tuesday the 17th at Chasers Nightclub. That's at 8005 East Roosevelt Street in Scottsdale, Arizona. The doors at 9, music starts at 10 o'clock, and they're playing with special guest Prostitutas Los Horrorosos. So everyone should check that out. I think it's $6 at the door.
Well, I hope that Groupus's new hip is giving him the mobility he used to have, because I know it can be frustrating to be on stage and not be able to move.
Well,
the way you wanna move.
he's known for really breaking it down when he's on stage,
Yeah.
and that's actually what had happened. He broke
broke
it down
it
to the
down
point
too
where he
much,
broke
yeah.
his hip. But he's made a good recovery, and I think even though his mobility isn't completely back to what it was, it's not going to hinder the music that comes forth from him is still going to be as amazing as it always has
Groupus's
been.
music comes from inside a part of him, and that part isn't his hip.
That
It's
part is his
soul,
his
maybe?
belly.
Belly, I don't know,
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
So there you go. If you're in the Scottsdale area on the 17th, go check out Groupus McKay
Please
and the
do.
Rabble Rousers at Chasers Nightclub.
Dear Warren and Bradley, I am writing this missive to let you know that I was utterly delighted with last week's episode. Your tales of prostitutes and the indigent are always quite illuminating, and I say, could you turn off that racket? Turn it off, I say! What are you doing? Can't hear myself making this ridiculous noise.
Listener feedback on the Warren and Bradley Show.
All right, so listener feedback for this week. We had a missive from one of our very devoted listener called Rory. Mm-hmm. I don't know who he is.
I
I don't know who he is either. He sent in an email, which I will read thusly. Hey, I've got a topic idea. How about discussing how American asses are the dirtiest in the world? Americans clean themselves by taking a wad of paper and smearing shit up their ass crack. Then many of them get up and walk out of the bathroom without washing their hands. Filthy. Even residents of third world countries clean themselves better. Love, Rory.
This is something that's always bothered me.
You know that we have had this discussion before, not on the
Yes.
podcast, but I am appalled by the idea of taking a dry piece of paper, rubbing shit around on your asshole, and then just saying, hey, I'm clean, I'm fine. I've in the past often engaged what I like to call pre-moistened ass wipes, which are basically just baby wipes for adults. They don't have a picture of a baby's ass on them. They have a picture of an adult's ass. I don't think they have a picture of an ass at all. But basically, that's what they're
They have a
for.
picture of an adult's ass.
So that's what it's for. Yeah, I like the pre-moistened ass wipe because I can't... Usually, if I don't have a pre-moistened ass wipe handy, if I've shat, I have to take a shower afterwards. Because it's disgusting. It's horribly disgusting. If somebody like took a piece of their shit and smeared it on your face,
You wouldn't just take a piece of
would
paper.
you take a piece of paper and just
rub
wipe it off and say,
No.
oh, we're all good?
No, you wouldn't do that.
You would wash it with soap and water. You get some
wash
sort
it.
of disinfectant,
Yeah.
maybe some bleach.
I completely agree with this.
But
There's got to be a better way.
I don't know if he's right in saying that it's only Americans, because I think most of the Western world just uses toilet paper.
As far as I know, yeah.
And I think we're actually doing some research on anal cleansing on Wikipedia. And
Unrelated research by Brad.
no, actually, this was because of Rory's question. It wasn't
Sure.
just my own reading list. Apparently, the toilet paper was first used in China.
Oh, the place where paper was invented.
Exactly. So it makes sense. It became widespread in Western culture in some parts of the world, especially before toilet paper was available or affordable. The use of toilet paper, telephone directory pages, or other paper products
Sears
were common.
catalog.
Apparently, the Old Farmer's Almanac was sold with a hole punched in the corner so it could be hung on a nail in an outhouse.
Yeah.
And the widely distributed Sears Roebuck catalog was also a popular choice until it began to be printed on glossy paper, which would just kind of smear it around. It wouldn't really work very well. Oh, apparently in France, the bidet is used a lot.
Yes.
And in a lot of East Asian countries, they do use water, which I think is a good idea.
They have those robot toilets in Japan.
Yeah, they
do all
squirt it
sorts of
right up your
things,
asshole. Roman anal cleansing was done with a sponge on a stick. The stick would be soaked in a water channel in front of a toilet and then stuck through the hole in front of the toilet for anal cleaning. I like that.
That's not bad. It's better than.
But did you
nothing.
did you carry your own sponge with you?
I that's a problem.
'Cause
I've
I've seen-
using everybody else's sponge.
Well, I've seen those communal Roman toilets, the ruins, and they're amazing because they have all these little toilet seats lined up, and there's basically just water flowing underneath from an aqueduct. And so there's water in front that is a different channel that doesn't have the shit in it. You take that, you wash your hands with that, and then you use that for your sponge on a stick, I guess. I don't know if there was little sponges hanging on hooks around the perimeter of the outhouse.
I don't know.
You would think you would want your own sponge, though.
Oh, definitely. It's weird though when you go to the bathroom now at like a public place. Mm-hmm. You walk in there, and it's very futuristic in the fact that your like towels are dispensed by like a laser that you wave your hand from. The sink turns on automatically.
You
put your
stand
hand-
up, and the toilet automatically
the
flushes
toilet
itself.
automatically flushes over and over again. Yet you're still wiping with paper.
This is something that I think George Costanza mentioned on a Seinfeld episode once, how the toilet paper has not changed basically since its inception.
No.
You know, it's gotten maybe more absorbent, maybe the 2-ply, the double roll.
Yeah.
But basically it's exactly the same thing we've had. I've never used a bidet.
Neither have I. I've always wanted to.
It kind of makes me wonder, because, again, with the analogy of smearing shit on somebody's face, if I just sprayed that shit with a little jet of water, I don't know if it would really get it off all the way.
No, but it would help.
Yeah.
If you have, like, going back to the shit that was smeared on your face.
Yeah.
If you were taking, like, just a dry piece of paper and you wiped it.
It would just kind of
But if you put water on there and then wiped it, you get a lot more of it off.
What do you dry your ass with after you use the bidet?
The toilet paper, maybe.
But then have you ever... I try to do that sometimes, too, when I don't have my pre-moistened ass wipes. I
Yeah.
put a little water on the toilet paper
Uh-huh.
and then rub that, but then it just kind of breaks apart.
Oh, yeah, toilet paper does do that when it gets wet,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Well, you just need a more resilient toilet paper. You need, like, some sort of, like, paper towel. You know those paper towel ads where they, like, throw a bowling ball into the wet paper towel and, like, holds it up? Something strong and like that. And get that wet and just get in there and you're fine.
Well, maybe if you had a sponge on a stick like the Romans, you could use that to dry yourself
Well,
off.
just, okay, this is what we'll do. And next to the toilet, give me some of these paper towels, strong, good paper towels,
Yeah,
and give me a little
brawny.
thing that squirts water out. And I'll just moisten this paper towel, and I'll get it in there, and that'll make me feel better.
I still think the pre-moistened ass wipe is the best of both worlds because it actually does have some cleaning agent in it. Like you've wiped a baby's ass before, right?
I don't know if I ever have.
Really?
I don't think I've ever changed a diaper.
Really?
Because I thought
I
about
guess you
this.
never had siblings that were way younger than you.
No. And
Yeah.
so I've thought about this in the past because I'm always like, oh, people are like talking. And I'm like, if I had like a baby that was like a year old and they're like, take care of this baby for the day. And I was like, I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, you'd be fine.
Well, I mean, I'd figure it out, but the baby would like, the diaper would be like taped on there. I'd be like trying to like mush up like food and put it in its mouth, make sure it didn't choke on it. It would be like a caveman handling
You're playing
a
into
baby.
that horrible male stereotype that men have no idea how to care for children.
Well, I don't. No, I have never cared
If
for
you
little
had your
children.
own, if you did have kids, you'd
If
be
I did
fine,
have kids,
yeah.
I'd like look it up and like read
Yeah.
about it and be like, this is how you do it. Or I'd have like a wife that would be like, this is how you do things. But as
Well,
far
it's-
as me just having a baby dropped in on me, I wouldn't have any idea how to handle it.
Well, it's like they always have those obnoxious commercials where it's like, all right, honey, I'm going to be going for the weekend with the girls. And he's like, okay. And he's there with the baby, and he's like boiling over pots, and the baby's like in a cage that he's placed
Yeah.
it in, and he doesn't know how to. Yeah.
That's what would be me.
Okay.
I think me and the baby would be fine. I think the baby would be fine. It would probably have a fun time. We'd probably have a good time, but it
Yeah.
wouldn't be conventional anyway.
Well, if you ever have access to a baby,
Yeah.
and it has a shitty ass, change the diaper, wipe it with some wipes, and it'll smell as fresh as a daisy afterwards.
You smell the baby's ass after you wipe it?
Well, I don't get right in there and smell it. I mean, I haven't changed a diaper since I was 13, but they work. The pre-moistened ass wipe works, and I give them my full seal of approval.
Oh, wow, we should endorse a brand of pre-moistened ass wipes.
We should review other like sanitary products, and we could. I think it's 3 assholes.
Oh, God.
4 clean assholes.
Stay tuned for that segment. Our Consumer Reports thing about, like, wiping your ass.
Is that enough?
That's what all the listeners are asking all the time.
This has been listener feedback on the Warren and Bradley Show. If you'd like to get in touch, send your questions, comments, and concerns to podcast@warrenandbradley.com. This has been the Warren and Bradley Show, brought to you by Warren Van and Bradley Victor. For podcast news and information, like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/Warren and Bradley. Follow the show on Twitter at Warren and Brad. Subscribe on iTunes and leave a review. For episode archives and episode pictures, go to warrenandbradley.com, and to contact the show, write to podcast@warrenandbradley.com. The views expressed on the Warren and Bradley Show are not necessarily those held by the hosts, Warren and Bradley, nor those of the proprietors of the website, warrenandbradley.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Let's make some magic.
Hello, it is magic time. Welcome once again to the Warren and Bradley Show. I am one of your hosts, Bradley Victor.
I'm the other host, Warren Van.
We have an excellent show for you all today. Several features that I'm sure you've been looking forward to. No, That's How Women Are this week. We're going to give that a break for this episode, but we do have a Street Freak of the Week. One of which is listener, what would be the word?
Submitted?
Yeah, listener
Yeah.
submitted Street Freak of the Week. Some interesting topics to discuss, some celebrity minute to go for. So let's get the show on the road, Warren.
Let's do it.
What's going on?
What's going on with you?
Not much, really.
Okay. That
What have
sounds
you
about
been
right.
up to today?
Not much. I've been doing a little reading. I watched a little soccer on the computer. It's very warm out right now.
It's oddly warm.
Yeah.
It's over 60 degrees for the first time, I think, in, 6 or 7 months?
I was shocked when I was leaving the house. I was wondering how many layers of clothing I should wear, and I actually looked at the temperature, and I was like, oh my God.
We mentioned this, I think, last week or the week before, when it gets just even slightly sunny here, people freak out and start wearing halter tops and things. And today I noticed people walking around like it was...
looking.
Okay.
It's a better looking bottle. The design... The Bud Light bottle is ugly.
It is ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though they did have that brief time there where they had the little blank area where you could write things on the bottle. Remember that?
No. I've never had a Bud Light.
Write something on your Bud Light bottle. So you could write your name on it or something silly on it. There's a whole ad campaign about it.
Are you then supposed to throw the bottle in the ocean and wait for it to wash up somewhere?
Looking for love.
I don't know.
Writing something on the back on your Bud Light bottle.
No.
You ever done that? You ever thrown a bottle in the ocean?
I tried to once as a kid, and it would not go out.
Yeah.
I threw it as far as I could, and it just kept washing back up on
It was
the
always
shore.
very intriguing as a child to think about that, finding a note from Japan or something.
Someone just recently around here found one from Japan. I heard some news story about it.
Really? Was it written in Japanese?
It was, and they could not read it.
That's annoying.
I remember hearing the story once about this entire shipment of rubber ducks that had capsized and sunk in the middle of the ocean.
Tragic.
So oppressively hot.
I feel like it's oppressively hot. It's 63 degrees out there,
Yeah.
and I was just barely getting over here. It was so hot.
It is hilarious.
It's overwhelming.
If I were still in LA, people would be wearing sweaters and earmuffs and things. Yeah, it's kind of humid though.
I think it is a little humid, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's a little muggy. I'm kind of sweating right now. I don't know.
Oh, so we went out last night briefly.
Yes.
I'm kind of tired of it.
Tired of going out?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Nothing ever happens.
No.
Things used to happen. Remember when things happened?
Occasionally things would happen, yeah.
When was the last time anything happened?
I don't know.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
You went home pretty early, and then I stuck around for a little bit longer, waiting for something to happen. Looked like a few things were going to happen, but then they didn't. And so I was disappointed.
What sort of things are going to happen?
I don't know. It looked like maybe there was potentially awkward conversations that were going to happen between a friend of ours and someone that they didn't want to talk to. And I was like, come on, waiting for it to happen, but then it never did. There was an almost fight that I witnessed, but it just didn't turn into an actual fight.
No.
There was some police action that wasn't really that interesting. I don't know. There was just nothing very exciting. Oh, and there was a real drunk girl who looked like she was about to slap another girl. Like they were going to get into it, but that never happened. It was just, it was a night of
an
missed
unfulfilling
opportunities.
lack of violence for you.
Well, it's not even just the violence, but just some sort of drama to make me feel alive.
Well, I had a gin and tonic,
Yes.
which is something I don't usually order. I decided to order something different.
I'm not a fan of this.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like having a shorter glass in my hand for some reason. I don't know why. I just felt like that was the move I needed to do that night.
Well, your normal drink is the shot of Wells vodka and a Bud Light.
Yes.
So
Or Coors Light now.
Or
I moved
Coors
on
Light.
I moved on to Coors Light because the
Silver
bottle
bullet.
is better